Type Soul, the new midwoken competitor, the game that will kill all other Roblox games.
Dance for... Oh, it's a rhythm game. Why am I doing this? What does this do for me? Can I just mash?
Type Soul is a borderline unfinished mess. Some history on the game first. The Roblox page is titled Major Update in all caps because the game was re-released. It used to be playable about a year ago, but it got decimated, public opinion wise. Nobody played it. Well, a lot of people did play it, but nobody who played it liked it. Everybody with influence in the community trashed it, rightfully so. They were infamous for being just really bad. Just a terrible game with a lot of predatory gambling transactions, and then it came out that those gambling transactions were rigged. So the Type Soul dev team decided they would shut down the game and address people's concerns. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, a large chunk of the new things in Type Soul are near direct rips from midwoken, which is another extremely popular Roblox game. I'm sure if you're watching this, you've heard of it. Midwoken's known for pushing boundaries as far as Roblox goes. World design, visual effects, PvP, it's pretty well known for being incredible in all of those. It's basically known as one of the best Roblox games just around. Type Soul doesn't live up to this reputation. They took midwoken's game design choices, such as reduced stun, parrying, involved reaction-based combat, which all seem good on paper, but in execution, when it's already put into a heavy stun game, like Type Soul, where originally a left click would stun somebody, so you could click on them 3 more times, use a move, 4 times, use a move, etc., it just feels janky. It just wasn't meant for the framework Type Soul is built off of, so instead of making the player feel in control of your character and invested in the combat like you would in midwoken, you just feel like you're being yanked around, and not in the type of intentional counterplay way that midwoken does, where, okay, I can use a move here instead of feinting or left-clicking, something my opponent wouldn't expect. Instead, in Type Soul, it's a lot more just, oh, that's a teleport move that does a bar of damage with 0 wind-up and ends us both in neutral. That's fun. I love it when my opponent does that randomly. If we were going to use the analogy of copying midwoken's homework, then it's still obviously in the Type Soul dev team's handwriting, and they missed the same questions as midwoken. Just like midwoken, Type Soul has 0 guidance of any kind. At least midwoken has a tutorial. Type Soul is more accurately called Trello Soul, or Type Wiki, because there's nothing. You don't know what to do. You spawn into a world, nothing past that. You have to go look up how to progress whatever class you chose in the, I guess you could call it a character creator. It's really a class selector. You don't get to create a character, it's all random. After you look up a third-party source telling you what to do, you figure out, I need to go do missions. Okay, how do I do those? I have to find a quest board. Walking to any of the random objectives on the map, you will find a quest board. If you go do a quest, it sends you off to kill 2 random hollow enemies. Wonderful. After you kill those enemies, it doesn't teleport you back, so you have to walk 4,000 meters back to society. If you find a mission board on the way, you just have to hope it's a real mission board and not a copied asset of them with no code attached, because they reuse the mission board asset everywhere despite the fact that only a few of them actually work. It's just great. After finishing any of these quests, you get a reward. Don't know what reward. It plays a sound. Your money increases in the bottom left, but there's no XP counter or anything of the like, so you have no visual indicator of what you've gained. After walking 4,000 meters back to the rest of society, I realized the only way to level up is to take another quest, and then take another quest. And then on my fourth quest, I'm interrupted by what looks like an AI Soul Reaper. Same faction as me, but he still kills me. I assumed being in the same faction as the NPC would protect me, but I guess friendly fire's on. After increasing my grade, which I looked at the Trello and found out was my level, not that the game told me that, I realized I didn't know what increasing my level did for me, because I had no clue where to open any of my skill menus at. The game description said it's in, which I realize now after looking back at it. At the time, I randomly had to run my hand across my keyboard to figure it out. Upon opening my skill menu, I am immediately overwhelmed by 5 or 6 different skill trees that I don't know what any of them do because it was never explained. And the descriptions only provide helpful things such as Sero scaling, which I don't know what that is either. So I decided to go with Medic because it has a skill that lets me heal myself. Upon scrolling one more to the right, I see easily the worst part of Type Soul. Type Soul loves gambling, like really loves gambling. When looking at these numbers, keep in mind $5 US is 400 Robux, so the prices range from just over $1 to nearly $25. If you want to change your sword's name, gamble. Eye shape, color, gamble. In-game clothing that is made from the Roblox catalog, you can buy that one, $10. It's almost the price of Game Pass for a month. It's not just the cosmetics either. In-game stat boosts are also tied to gambling. Things like your Shikai's element, Shikai being an upgraded sword you get. Gambling determines what moveset you get on said sword. Gambling determines your clan, which gives you in-game stat boosts. Fighting somebody who's worse than you at the game? Sorry, get luckier next time. They're from a better clan, so they got their ultimate ability faster than you did. Feeling dejected upon realizing that I could put in effort to level up, but still be ruined by RNG, I decided I would check the Trello. As usual, everything goes back to the Trello, and see how long leveling up would take. I don't want to spend a bunch of time if I could get there and still just get ruined by bad luck, because I'm not going to spend money to gamble. So, I look at the progression. First, you have to do quests to trainee to rank 2. All the way up. You have to grind from trainee to rank 2. To unlock your level cap after hitting rank 2, you have to meditate for 20 minutes 3 times. This means you sit AFK doing nothing for an hour. If you're damaged, disconnect, move, or stop meditating for any reason, that time's reset. You have to do 20-minute sessions uninterrupted 3 times. After you do that, you then have to fight a boss. If you lose to that boss, you have to wait another hour before you can fight it again, or kill a player or a faction NPC. This is why people were killing me earlier, is because they wanted to redo their boss fight, so they are incentivized to set it spawn and wait for new players to spawn in and murder them. That's always fun. Anyways, after you fight the boss, which I decided not to do, and unlock your Shikai, which I also decided not to do because I don't have an hour of my life to sit AFK doing nothing for, you get the Shikai. It's a weapon upgrade that gives you moves. It's the one you can gamble to get different movesets on. There's a further upgrade to the Shikai called a Bankai. That's what I think anyways. It's mentioned in the description for the Kurosaki clan. It's mentioned in a few pages on the Trello, but the Trello has no page on how to get it. The Soul Reaper progression page ends at your Shikai. So for all I know, this could just be a mod spec or something that's not even in the game. I've never seen somebody with it, and it's only mentioned in 1 clan description and 2 pages on the Trello. So unless they update the Trello, I don't know what to think. At this point, I decided I was probably done with Type Soul. I didn't want to AFK for an hour to level up, so I looked at the other classes, Hollow and Quincy. Hollow progression in this game is horrendous. The enemies I was killing earlier during the quest as a Soul Reaper were hollows. Those are called fish bones. You start the game off as a fish bone when you choose to be a hollow. You have to kill other fish bones for an arbitrary amount of time until you get enough XP. Then you become a Minnows. Super tall tree looking thing. Stomp on everything, shoot laser beams. you have to do the same thing as a Minnows. Stomp, laser, hundreds of enemies till you get enough XP to evolve again. Then you become an Ojakos. As an Ojakos, you get finally the ability to use a move or two while you're grinding, and you have to continue grinding until you become a Vasto Lord. When you become a Vasto Lord, I think you can tear your mask off and become a Vastokar. It doesn't say that anywhere on the Trello, but that's what I've heard around. So how Hollow progression works is you start at the lowest level, then evolve, and at any point you can take your mask off, but the longest you wait to take the mask off, the stronger you get. So you're heavily incentivized to stand around farming random enemies for hundreds of hours as a fishbone, and then a Minos, and then an Ojakos, and then a Vasto Lord, playing as the weakest enemies in the game to kill just barely weaker enemies than you for hours.
Quincy progression, separately from Hollow and Soul Reaper progression, suffers from a problem of being boring but in a different way. While Soul Reaper progression is incredibly convoluted and Hollow progression is simple but horrendously grindy until then you finally get to start playing the game, Quincy progression is just really boring. From grade 5 to semi-grade 1, that being 6 levels, I believe, is just nothing but grinding. Do a quest, grind, do a quest, grind, do a quest, grind. From grade 1 to elite grade, the highest grade, you grind a different quest instead. The only abilities you unlock on the way is the version of Shikai that Quincy's have, called a Shrift, and Blute Vein and Blute Artery. Other than that, Quincy's really don't have much going for them. They're incredibly overpowered PvP-wise, from what I've heard, but as far as playing them for interest's sake, they're boring.
Alright, to recap, Type Soul is an unfinished mess with predatory and previously rigged gambling transactions. After being called out for what it was, garbage, they took the game out for just under a year to let the heat die down. Changed very little from previous release, stole the game mechanics and moves from Deepwoken, reopened the game with the same predatory gambling transactions. Can't prove for sure this time they're rigged, but I wouldn't put it past them. And now they have 42,000 players as a reward. Welcome to Roblox.